So, hello everybody, welcome along again for another week's training. We are going to be doing something a little bit different this week. Rather than looking at the vWriter system directly, we're going to be looking at part of the overall Be Everywhere blueprint or strategy. So this week we're going to be, as you can see on the screen, looking at repurposing your blog post as a SlideShare presentation. This is a bit of an experiment. It is a live demonstration, so if things go horribly wrong, please bear with me, but hopefully we will be okay. As usual, if you do have any questions as we go along, feel free to type them into the question area. It should be towards the right hand of your screen in the GoToWebinar control panel, so feel free to interject at any point. So I'm basically going to share my screen with you. And this was, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this was a blog post that was published yesterday. So I'm basically going to go through this and start to repurpose it as a SlideShare presentation. We've got about an hour, so we'll see how far we get within that hour. But I'll basically be spending sort of up to half an hour or so creating the initial script that I'll then use for the presentation, and then the other half an hour kind of merging that script, the text within that, into the different slides. In terms of what I use, you can use PowerPoint. I tend to use Google Docs a lot, so I use Google Presentations to do this with, and it's very easy. Once you've done your presentation, you can then simply go to File, Download as PDF, and that PDF file can then just be uploaded straight into SlideShare. This presentation here is basically one I've done before, and I've kind of copied it over for the new one, and I'll be using some of the same formatting and so on, so it's fairly templated in the way that I want to use it. So it's not the presentation I want, but I will be kind of overwriting information in there and copying slides across and kind of changing it as I need to. So if I start creating the actual script, basically what I'm looking to do is to simplify the blog post itself and make it kind of succinct into different bullet points and different kind of standalone statements that can then be used on the slides. And as I go through, I will kind of divide up the text, so I'll be able to then see which text goes on which slide. And even after doing the script, I might well amend it as I move into doing the presentation itself. This really is kind of an initial roadmap to start doing it. So let's just copy, I'll just copy the initial title across. And the first section I want to look at is that initial couple of paragraphs. So I really just want to make that quite succinct. So just trying to condense that down. The more blog posts you write, to excuse my typing as we go along. And then in a slightly different format below, I will have a kind of standalone statement like that. I'm just going to use a simple notation to kind of suggest different slides, and I will likely have a statement like this, just standing alone on a single slide. I'll just show you an example of what I need, what I mean. So if I go back to here, I had the odd kind of standalone slide like that, so that's what I'm intending for that section there. So I've got the initial couple of slides already. So discover 7 top ways to get your content. I'm basically moving across this sentence now and making it presentation ready. And your business. And I'm going to use some bullet points. I will just keep it simple. So in terms of doing presentations, bullet points are really important. Your presentation basically needs to be very, very scannable for people to read. So bullet points work really well. So, they just want to really spend a couple of seconds per slide, and your purpose is to try to get them as far through your presentation as you can, because obviously right at the end you're going to have a call to action that brings them to your website, which is the whole point of doing the SlideShare. And you'll notice on the templates kind of SlideShare I showed you, I've also got the website name in the form of the logo on every slide as well, to try and get click-throughs from each slide if people are just kind of curious where the information comes from. I've not put that in as straight text, because I found if I do, then what SlideShare does is it goes through and it extracts the text from each slide. And if I have the link there in text form, I basically get the URL on every single slide within SlideShare, within their transcript that they create. And it looks kind of really messy and quite unprofessional. So I found it works better to have a logo on each slide. So I'll basically be using the same format here. Okay, so I've done those first couple of paragraphs. I'm now going to move on to doing the individual points. This article is basically built on kind of 7 different principles with a couple of bonus things right at the end. So that's the format I'll be doing, sort of 2 or 3 slides per point, and then a conclusion at the end. So I'll just make this slightly shorter, convert to a presentation for SlideShare. So it's all about succinctness, if I can say that properly, and trying to shorten everything down. So the first sentence, hidden secret of content marketers, I would just change that to hidden secrets traffic driver. As I've said, if you have any questions as I go along, feel free to fire away, or if you have any comments. Top 200 most visited websites, so I'll put that in. You're just really getting the most important points that you've got there and putting them down into bullet point format. Drive significant clicks over time. That's probably enough for a single slide, so I'll move on to another slide. And the next section is really about how to create the presentation. So I'll have like a little header, how to create your presentation. So the next sentence is about scripting it out. So script out the content for each slide in a, let's just see from, just got a question from David, thank you. I can only see a static screen with your photo on. It could well be your internet speed in some way, David. I've actually got the same webinar open on another computer and it's coming through fine. So it could well catch up for you. Otherwise, you may have to catch up via the video afterwards. But it does appear to be coming through perfectly fine on my side at least. So hopefully it will change for you and you'll be able to move on. So script out the content for each slide in a separate document. So we're working on this sentence here. Then create, oh, you're welcome, David. Presentation from that. If you do end up seeing it properly, David, let me know. It'd be nice to know that you're able to watch it properly. You need a mixture of standalone. You may find it easier actually just to kind of copy and paste some of this across. I may start doing that shortly rather than typing it all out longhand. That probably would be quite a bit quicker actually. So avoid longer paragraphs. Yeah, so it just basically makes that sentence there a lot shorter and more succinct. Make it easily scannable by the reader, so I'll copy that bit across. make it, don't worry too much about the different fonts, it doesn't matter, we're just using this as a rough guide for us. So that'll be enough for that slide. So you can see we've now got a couple of slides focused on that main point. We've got one here and another one down here for the couple of slides. We're now moving on to, no, we're not actually, sorry, I saw that too and thought we were moving on to number 2, but we're not. Number 2 is down there, so we have a little bit of a way to go. With these images, I've got quite a few images in this blog post, so when I come to do the slide share, I might well copy these across and use them on different slides as well, which is why this script might change, but it really just gives me an overall structure to use. So the next section I need is really about software, so use PowerPoint or presentations. As you can see, I use the Google side myself, so use software like, that's fine. I'll make that even shorter. Use PowerPoint or Google presentations. You just really want it to be as scannable and as quick for people to kind of go through as possible while still getting the main points across. In a blog post, you tend to be a lot more wordy in how you describe things. Include a call to action. So let's just quickly type that in. Include a call to action with a link at the end. And I talked about adding the footer here, so I'm just going to basically put that into the presentation as well. Footer of each slide, and this is where I might well copy across that image or adapt it in some way into the presentation. I'm going to turn that into a bullet, so I know it's a bullet when I come to do the slide share. Use an image rather than text. I'll make that a lot shorter, or you will mess up slide shares transcript. You rather than your. And yeah, I think what I will do is include that at the bottom. So I will put some text like, here's an example, and then use that image. Here's an example. I think, yeah, well, what I'll do instead, I think, is just point down to the actual logo at the bottom of the presentation itself rather than include it again as a separate image. So I'll just put that arrow so I know to include an arrow down there. It helps to script it all out like this, so when you actually come to do the presentation, you know exactly what you're doing on each slide and you can see the overall structure. Otherwise it can be more difficult to kind of put it together when you're doing the presentation itself. So let's have a look. So we're now talking really about uploading to SlideShare. So I will have we've got about creating the presentation here, and now we'll have a slide about uploading it. So uploading to SlideShare. Add up to 20 relevant keywords. To just make that a bit more shorter, so basically doing that bit, so to help people find your presentation. Add a description, and I need to, we want to kind of include that paragraph but not the whole thing, so add a description that entices viewers to view the full presentation, and that kind of gets the message across without going into a huge amount of detail. Okay, so now we're on number 2, so convert a video for YouTube. So I'm going to do this till about half past the hour, and then we'll see how far we get, and then we can start looking at putting it into the presentation itself. Really, for creating the slideshow, you're looking for an hour or two to put it together, but the good thing is that it's not just for slideshow, you then have exactly what you need to create the video as well, so it's used for both purposes and for a lot of benefits as well for you. So we've got number 2, convert to a video for YouTube. And reasons why, we just need a couple of, say, a bullet point for each paragraph here. So you've already got your presentation. Just use as the basis of a video, and that kind of covers the first sentence there. But the next paragraph here is really about sort of why you use YouTube. So because it's a presentation, we'll have a little title there, why YouTube, just to make it clear what we're talking about. And then again, we're kind of bullet pointing what we've got here. So second largest website, third most popular, the world's second largest search engine, third most popular website. So let's copy that across. The third most popular website, and some about Google. So just say that Google owns it, and because of that, videos get quick rankings, or simply because it's an authoritative site. So we had before about how to create your presentation. So I'll keep it in the same kind of format. And the next bit is really about how to create your video. So the title of the next slide. So we've really got sort of titles on each slide, and then bullet points to explain or to give more information about that title. How are you doing, David? Have you still got my face staring at you? Or have you managed to, are you able to watch the presentation itself? How to create your video. Record your screen. No, oh dear. Sorry about that. Not sure what the reason would be. You could try coming out and sort of clicking the link to go back in again. It may be just an issue with GoToWebinar software, just as a suggestion for you. Record your screen. So we can keep that bullet point as it is ready. Add a voiceover. Yes. Next bit's about adding a voiceover. So add a voiceover. We'll mention using the blog post as a script. So add a voiceover by using your original blog post. Let's just copy that across. Mention the backing track, so or add backing music. So that's really about how to create your video. So we've covered the points for. I'll tell you what, we've not covered the software itself, so let's just add that in. So record your screen, and we'll, just to keep it really succinct, use Camtasia for PCs, ScreenFlow for Macs. So we've now covered really that. We've added something about the backing music. We'll leave the logo sting bit. It's kind of an additional point in the blog post, but it's not absolutely essential to the information we're trying to get across, so we'll keep it nice and straightforward. So so we're talking about uploading the video now. So in the similar way that we had uploading to SlideShare, we will move on to a slide about uploading to YouTube, of course. So we talk about adding some keywords again. Add some keywords. Refer back to SlideShare that we saw before to help your video got as discoverable as possible by your marketplace. But really, we just want to make it rank and get found. That's kind of what we will not get round, get found. Use important keywords. So the next sentence about using where to use the keywords. Create a bullet point. Use important keywords, and here is where we can kind of create some sub bullet points in the name of the file when you upload it. Got that there. Your title, your description, so that covers that sentence. And then we need to talk about adding the link, the all-important link, so that you get benefits. So make sure you add your link to the description. It's a lot more wordy in the blog post again, but we're just going to keep it nice and short. And already we're on to number 3. So let's do 3, add to LinkedIn Pulse, copy that across. It'll probably come out really big, but we'll just, yeah, not too good in the document, so we'll just, nope. Okay, there we go, shorten it right down again. Add to LinkedIn Pulse, make sure we have the denoter to make sure it's a different slide, just so it's clear when I go through it later. So we're talking about popularity and clicks can drive significant clicks over time. It's not too important what you actually say, it's just about getting that point across in a short and succinct form as before. It's also about quality traffic as well. So let's just say it's LinkedIn again. So LinkedIn equals quality traffic, and that kind of gets it across straight away. Simply repurpose your blog post for submission. So you'll find that after you've done a few of these, you can just really see how to make it shorter. It'll probably take a bit longer the first time, but then you get quite used to just shortening it down into these kind of note form almost. So it's almost like you're listening to somebody talking and just making points, making the main points for your own notes. So just repurpose your blog post for submission. And that's quite a useful image down here as well to include in the SlideShare itself. So what I will do is just make a slide for that. So Sir Richard Branson uses SlideShare. And then I just want to make sure I include the picture. So put that there just to make sure, just for my own notes, there's nothing anybody else will see. And so we're now talking about creating the actual article for submission to LinkedIn Pulse. So let's have a separate header for that. Creating our article, and then we need various bullet points where we put down the main points from here. So it's important not to submit the same content. So it's really about keeping it unique. Keep your blog posts unique to maintain your blog's authority. Rewrite your blog post. So we've got these various things here which could be put in as sub-bullets here. So rewrite your blog post. So switch things around. Reword sentences. You can see how this has just been reconstructed really into bullet form. Okay, and shorten, and let's put shorten and summarize if longer. Okay. We're now talking about upload. what I will do is just add something. You don't have to kind of follow the blog post exactly, but yeah, the same content can be used in point 7. Yeah, so I'll put something down relating to that as well. So, but probably just on a standalone slide by itself. So you can reuse this article later too. It's not just for, and you'll see how this kind of works when we move on to the SlideShare itself in terms of how the information can be presented. You'll begin to kind of picture it in your own mind as you start to do these scripts as to how you want it to appear. So we're now talking about uploading it. So similar to how we have for uploading to YouTube, uploading to SlideShare. So upload to LinkedIn Pulse for this one. So we've got talking about regularly uploading articles regularly and building your authority. So upload new content regularly and build your authority. My fingers are working. Authority. I'll also mention, it's going to be a bit short just with one bullet point, so I'll put in include links back to your site, just as a reminder. So, okay. So that's really the LinkedIn Pulse side done, and now we're on to the guest posting point in the blog post. So a new slide, number 4, guest posts on other blogs. Just keep that slightly shorter than the original. So we've had before kind of why use a particular method. So I'm going to basically follow that format now. So I'm looking for the main reasons, the main benefits for doing it. So the first reason really is about long-term links coming back. So get long-term links back to your site. Let's just put a hyphen in there, which I believe it needs. Links back to your site from relevant sites, as we've got in the sentence there. So why do we do that? Builds your traffic. Oh, no change for you, David. That's a shame. Yes, I will certainly. The recording, David, will be up within the next day or two. So you'll be able to watch that and follow along more better. So apologies that you've not been able to follow along today. Builds traffic. We're talking about boosting rankings as well. So let's make that a different bullet point. Boosts rankings. And the other benefit there, boosting authority and credibility. So let's add another bullet for that. Boosts authority and credibility. So we're now talking about, as we've had before, kind of why use it and then how to do it. So we're now going to move on to a kind of a how-to section for guest posting. So to start guest posting, I'm just going to spend another couple of minutes on this and then we'll move to actually creating the SlideShare itself so you can see how that works. To start guest posting, we have, let's see, so the first how-to bit is really compile a list of blogs. Compile a list of related blogs. Offer them unique content, okay. Unique content, and we've got a link to your own blog, so show your own blog as an example. And then basically I will move on and just carry on doing the same thing all the way through. We're roughly about sort of halfway through, so yeah, so you're probably talking, say, an hour to put the script together. No, probably less than that actually. I think we're over halfway, so probably 45 minutes to get the script all together. And it's obviously a bit quicker if you're not talking at the same time as well. So let's move on to the SlideShare. I will move this document across over to the left-hand side, and I've got the blog post there if I need to refer back to incorporate any images and so on. So this is the SlideShare template I had from a previous presentation. That's the image we had. So we basically want to use the image that we've got on this post instead. So I can just copy the image URL, and then we don't want that image, so get rid of that image and click that on Google Presentations to add one. We want to enter the URL, so it's going to be really quick to get this image into place. Just need to resize it slightly. It's covered up the text, so I will just move it back. Center back should do it. Yeah, that doesn't look too great with the text, and I probably be a better idea as well to use the logo form of the website. So I'm just going to copy that, do a Control-C onto here. Let's move there. We'll just shift that across to the other side, just to encourage any click-through if anybody's kind of looking at the presentation, and they might, you might get some click-throughs just from people looking at that there. So sure, no problem, David. Cheers. Okay, let's have a look. So we've got the first slide here. So let's just have a look at a similar slide that we've had before. So that's the kind of format I'm looking for. So I'm just going to Control-C that one, paste it at the top here. So we've got that there. Let's see if this works here. Not the best font, so okay. Got Open Sans 22. Not sure whether we can retain that font with copying and pasting. We could do with some kind of clever paste where it keeps the format, but looks like my fingers are going to need to type again. So alternatively, I'll tell you what, let's just try and copy that across. It was Open Sans and 22, I believe it was. And then we just need the color. Yeah, okay. Let's so that's the color we want. No, that's not working. I'm looking at the wrong thing, aren't I? Line color. I'm not sure where the font color has gone. Oh, I think I'm going blind on the color. I will just leave that for now. But it takes time, so we just want. But it takes time! Exclamation mark. And move that across so it's kind of in the right place for us. I think what I've done is actually put a line around that whole block, haven't I? So let's remove that line. There we go. And the next, so we've done these bits now. I can just cross those out on the document. And now we need a slide a bit like that one. So I'll just move that up. All of you could accelerate that process. Yeah, I'll probably leave the but in there actually. So, but what if you could accelerate this? Of course, once you've done this a few times, you can potentially outsource it to somebody else and kind of guide them through the process, or even show them a video like this so they know the approach to take. So we need to move that one up. So we've covered that section now as well. And now we need a bullet point. So we've got a suitable slide there. Looks that will do fine for the next one. Discover 7 top ways. Don't really want the italics. So we don't want that text there particularly, so we'll move that out of the way. We're going to shift the bullet points around in a second, these ticks that I've got here. So we've got in front of your marketplace. So I will just make that bold to make it stand out a little bit more. In front of your marketplace. Oh, don't want that. Okay. And I quite often just, the main words I might just bold. What you're looking to do is to allow people to scan through easily. So just as we've got the bullet points that allow people to really go through really quickly, by bolding words as well, you also allow people to scan quickly as well. It's the same with sales letters and so on. In front of your marketplace and on some of the most, I'll make this bold, popular websites. Okay, so I'll just drag that bullet point up as well. We don't need the rest of it on this slide. So delete those. I might move this down a bit actually, just because we don't have a lot of information on that slide. So it's really a case of just playing around with it until it kind of looks right to you and gives the right kind of impression that you want to give. Discover 7 top ways. So we've done that slide now. Now we're on to number 1, and I know this presentation before had various numbers, so that's a similar slide that we want. So let's move that up. So this time we want convert to a presentation for SlideShare, and I'll make that bold. Won't want all these bullets, but we'll start putting in the text. So let's just copy this across to make it a bit quicker. And I'll come back through later on to work out where the colour is. I'm sure it's somewhere obvious, but doing this live, I can't see it at all. So 22, and we want it open sans. I'm going to make things bold, so we want traffic driver, top 200, and clicks. I might change that to click-throughs, just so it's clear what it's talking about. So click-throughs, and we don't want all these, we only want 3 of the bullets, so I'll get rid of those, space them out a little bit more. The good thing as well with using the template is once you've done a few of these, you'll have obviously a few up on SlideShare, and people will become familiar with your format. It doesn't mean that you have to stick with that same format every single time, but they tend to get familiar with your look and feel kind of comfortable with the type of information you're sharing. You'll notice as well that I'm basically using this as a very kind of text-focused type presentation. A lot of people do these presentations based on images and sort of find out lots and lots of images to put on every single page. That would take more time to do, and I might do that. For now, it's kind of more important just to get the SlideShare up on SlideShare. I'm talking about SlideShare, rather than kind of spend hours and hours looking for the right particular image and so on. So I've got that image there. I might well use that when I'm talking about uploading to SlideShare in a second or two. At the moment, we're talking about how to create your presentation. So we've got that slide. Now we kind of want a more bullet heavy type slide, which I might well have down here somewhere. Let's borrow that one, shall we? So it's got slightly different bullet points as well. So we've got those there and slightly different bullet points there, which just kind of hold somebody's attention for a little bit longer. So we're talking about how to create the presentation now. Let's just borrow some. Okay. Just going to copy that one and move it over here. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. And we want how to create your presentation. Going to make that bold and put it into our usual format. So open sans and 22. Hit enter. Okay. Put that at the top. I'll need to jiggle it around in a second. So we've got all this text here, which I'm going to basically take out and replace with all of this. Make this open sans as we did before, 22. Get rid of these bullet points I had before. Let's just see how this, I don't think it's all going to fit on. No, it does just, so we can move that up. I might play around with this a little bit later on as well. I'm not sure why that's coming up with a white background, but I'll have a look at that later too. Let's just move these up. And we need an extra one there, so I'll just copy and paste another one. And that's another slide done. It does look a little bit crammed, so I might well come back and re-examine how that's done. So I'll just get the basic information for now. So I've got, yeah, so we could potentially move, a bullet point or two onto another slide. At the moment, I will just keep as per the script and then go back and kind of polish it once I've done that. So I will duplicate the slide. So we just really don't want that title section anymore. We just want a couple of the bullet points. So get rid of these ones and the rest of the text on the page here. And then copy that across. It's still doing the white background thing. Not too sure why. No idea. So I'll come back and have a look at that later on. So for now, imagine there's no white background to the text, okay? Let's have a look. Open sans and 22, usual stuff. Let's move that down a bit to tie up with the bullet points. Okay. Oh, I think it's because the white background looks like it's because I copied and pasted direct from the blog and it's kind of transported across into the document, the white background. So I'm just going to select it all and highlight none, and hopefully that'll fix it going forward. So we're on to another slide with very, very similar to this one. So let's duplicate this one. And again, I'll probably come back through and rearrange it in some way because these slides at the moment look very sameish and it's not going to hold somebody's attention too well. So I'll have a think about how to make that better going forward. Let's get rid of that. Yep, we've lost that white background, so that's good. We need that one there. And here's an example with an arrow, so I have to remember the arrow side. Let's just get the font sorted out first. Usual open sans. Yeah, sometimes for some reason Google Presentations jumps up a slide or jumps down a slide when you've applied some formatting, so it decided to do it then. 22, or it could be my fingers on the mouse, I'm not too sure. Let's borrow another bullet point tick. I've used ticks rather than bullet points because it looks a bit more kind of positive thinking and less plain than just a plain black dot. So that's the thinking behind the arrow, the ticks, sorry, but you can use really sort of anything that works for you. So I might not even use a bullet point for that last one actually. Just let me just take that text out just to make it look, you're really looking to kind of break up the information just to keep somebody's interest. I'll put another text area down here. I'll change it to a different color as well later on. And we can insert arrows. So let's get an arrow. Just looking for a basic arrow there, look. And I should be able to, put an angle on it and just point down to there, so I can move that across. Okay, so I'll make that bit bold. Use an image, footer of each slide. I'll tell you what, I'll try adding your website as bold there. Let's have a look. Use PowerPoint, or bold PowerPoint, because most people are familiar with PowerPoint, and link at the end, just to go through and kind of bold the most important bits. So script out the content into a separate document, create the presentation, a mixture of standalone statements and bullet points, avoid longer paragraphs, and easily scannable is kind of the main words in there. So okay. So here's an example. So we've done that section now. Let's cross all this out so we know where we are. And we need another slide uploading to SlideShare. So let's see if there's something. Okay. Let's borrow that one. I didn't really need to duplicate it there, but let's move it up. So we've got the example one there. Okay. So uploading to SlideShare. Let's borrow that text there and just put that higher up. Yeah. Okay, trying to move this bit down. And it still wants to move that one. Okay, there we go. So we want uploading to SlideShare, uploading to SlideShare, and actually this is where we're going to want the image I mentioned, isn't it? So yeah, so let's drop that text block for now, and what I'll do is copy across the image that we had. And I might well get this slide again for the bullet points themselves, but so that image would be a good one to use. So I'm going to copy image URL and just insert the image. Again, appropriate images on your SlideShare are going to keep somebody's attention. Brings it in, and we can just resize it to fit. You'll notice when I move it to the middle, a red line appears there, so you know you're central with the image. So I'll leave that there. I'll just check if there's any, there's no further images I can use at the moment. But we'll probably incorporate some other images going forward. So now we're looking, we've got the image, and now really we're doing this slide again, but with just the bullet points on. So let's borrow that kind of format again. So I'll duplicate that, drop that down. And obviously you can play around with this and just see what works best for you. And it's quite good just to, go back through it after you've done it all and just play around with it, because you'll find you can improve the formatting and improve how it looks quite a lot as you go back through and polish up. Okay, let's open Sans and 22. Usual format, we don't need that anymore, so I'll delete that. And I can probably move all of this down, so let's have a look. I'll move and then just select it all like that and drag it down the page, hopefully. Yep, there we go. Okay, so we've done that slide now, another one to cross out. If you want to cross out on Google Docs, by the way, you can just use Shift Out and number 5. Or it's also up here somewhere, formats, yeah, strike through. So I'm on a Mac, so Option, Shift and 5, or the Alt key if you're on Windows, I believe. So convert to a video for YouTube is the next section we're looking at. We basically want a slide very similar to that, so keep the format the same, just to keep the structure so people are familiar with the structure and where they are within the overall presentation. I need the number 2 actually, so I should have probably copied it from down here, but we'll leave it like that. So we want to change that number 1 and put in a number 2. So very quick and easy. You've already got to your presentation. I'll copy that one across. And the sentence about the video there. So let's make that 22 again. Oh, there's my color. There we go. I found it in the end, so I don't know why Google's put it down there, so just to confuse me, I think. Let's move that tick, and we can just want to move this down, so let's try and, there we go. Okay, excellent. So let's just go through. So we want 20 relevant keywords. Let's make that bold. Add a description, and I'm going to make all this that same color. Basically, this uses a theme within Google Presentation, so it's got certain colors attached to it that kind of work within the background and so on. So that's where the colors have come from. Yeah, so let's change these colors, and I'll probably leave that as black so it stands out a bit different. In fact, I might make that slightly bigger as we've got there. So that's Arial 40. So let's change that to something very similar. So this is kind of polishing as you go, so to speak. Yeah, so that's beginning to look more like it, as far as I'm concerned anyway. So you might disagree. So let's have a look. Background color, hopefully, I'm not sure if that'll change the background. No, I'll have to come back through and probably just type it in properly later on. So I'll leave that for now. I'll leave that slide as well for now. It's looking a bit too busy, that slide. Let's change the. Oh, what have I done now? Okay, I told you it might be a disaster. I think I've just closed all the windows I need. So let's see where we are. Convert to a video. Excellent. Okay, convert to a video for YouTube. So that was the danger of doing it live, that I would press completely the wrong key at completely the wrong time, which I duly did. Convert to a video for YouTube. You've already got the presentation. Just use as, so I've already copied that across. Okay. We've got about 5 minutes to go, so I will just do another slide and then I'll take you to kind of the end of the presentation as well, just to show you how this will look in the end. So let's just cross that one out so I know I've done it. Make sure I'm not pressing Command Q this time. Nope, that didn't work. That did. Okay, why YouTube? I'll just duplicate that slide and use that type of format instead, I think. So let's just do a big kind of Y YouTube on this slide, and I'll make that bold. That's all ready. So we've done that question, and then we'll just have a slide where we have the bullet points. Let's just borrow these kind of points, I think. So why YouTube? copy those across. We've got open sans again, so let's bring that out, and you can just kind of change the format as you go through. But yeah, so that was, I think, as before, Arial and 40. And we want to lose the bullet points for this one, so hopefully that will be there. Yep. So get quick rankings and make that bold, just because we want to highlight that and make it scannable as well. Let's change this so we want the color that we use for these kind of bullets, and bring up the size of it again. We don't need that section there. We can just move that there. So I'll just stick in an and there so it leads on, and videos get quick rankings. Maybe a ... see how that works. Okay. And it's really a case of just going through and seeing what might work for you and what doesn't. Yeah, So I might play with that a little bit more a little later on, but we're nearly up to the hour. So what I'll do now is just show you the call to action. And because I've done this presentation before, I will largely leave the call to action at the end the same. So it gets quicker each time, really. So that was the nearly last slide last time, so that'll be changing. And that's basically the call to action right at the end, to try and get people who have read through or who have viewed the whole SlideShare, have gone through, and obviously want to try and encourage as many as possible to get back to your website, which you do with a call to action at the end. Generally offer something kind of very specific that follows on from the presentation you've done, or offers valuable information to them that people reading it are going to be interested in. People who have found your SlideShare and then taken the trouble to go all the way through it are going to be very hot prospects for your business. So they tend to be very easy to convert into opt-ins when they click. So they're very valuable clicks from things like SlideShares and videos and articles and so on. They've found the article, found the content, they're interested, and it's very easy to then get them onto your list when they do click through, because obviously if they click through, they're already kind of pre-qualifying themselves. And it's not just that, they've also built up a relationship with you as they've gone through your content. You've already got credibility and authority with them. And I've heard some stats that say the traffic from this kind of content is about 300 to 500% more likely to opt into your list, for example, than traffic from elsewhere. So, it's certainly not wasted time putting these kind of things together. And once it's up on SlideShare, and from here, of course, the video that you can then create from this and put it onto YouTube, once you've got that content in place, it's there for a very, very long time, and continuing to deliver clicks through you, for you, and very valuable clicks too. So it's certainly an hour or two, probably another hour or so for the video, to kind of do a voiceover for the video, and just put a bit of an intro on there and upload it. So it's a very good, useful sort of 3 hours spent that's going to bring clicks and traffic for you for a long time going forward. And of course, once these go live, tie it in with vWriter, tie in your SlideShare feed with vWriter, and then you'll get your social profiles updated automatically with the fact that you've got new content up on SlideShare. And what I'd recommend for Twitter is to set it up to send out multiple tweets, so that you get the click-throughs, not just from one single tweet. That tweets tend to be very fleeting things, so it's not just a single tweet, but several tweets will bring a lot more traffic back to that content for you over time, and kind of highlight that content with your social audiences. So I hope that's been helpful for you. We're at 5 o'clock now, so I'm going to I'll hang around for 5 minutes or so in case anybody has any questions. But otherwise, I hope you found that helpful. I will put up a video of this within the next 24 to 48 hours in the usual place. If you think of any questions afterwards, feel free to get in touch with us through our support email address. But otherwise, I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you for watching.